My name's Gord Hunter. Monkey's Fist Publishing is my company, and I'm a self-publisher. I had no intention of putting a book together. It started as a blog, and it just, as it grew, it just kind of grew into a book by itself, more than anything else. It became something that it didn't start as, and it just kind of developed. It was a great way to start because it was challenging. I had to write it like a book. You had to be able to tell the story, just like writing a book. And so bit by bit, I think it's a great way to start putting your ideas together, and then seeing whether anybody bites out there, whether anybody out there in the internet has a look and says, "Well, that's kind of interesting. I did this," and you start getting feedback from people and that sort of thing. So I think it's a good way to start. It's particularly for somebody who doesn't have a career in writing, who hasn't done it all their life. I think it's a great way to start. You know, what's happened is a lot of people who spent time in the 1960s in the Navy, during that period of time, where there was a lot of tension with the Soviet Union and the Cuban crisis and all sorts of things, it's a time that a lot of people have forgotten really took place. But it was a time that was pretty special with people who were there and who served during that period of time. And the stories that I told in many ways are their stories. And so there's it's interesting to see how they've kind of glommed onto this whole idea of somebody being prepared to tell their stories. And they're a very loyal audience. And in fact, just today, a letter came in the mail from somebody who said, "I had coffee with so-and-so, and he told me I should read your book, and just send me the money in the mail," and his address, and said, how about sending me a copy of the book? Once the blog grew, and I was getting good feedback online as a result of that blog. A lot of old Navy people were online looking at some of the stories that I was telling me. I was getting a lot of good feedback, and eventually it became pretty good. And I thought, I think if I worked on this, I have a book here. And then I started writing and rewriting and adding to it, and so that whole development was pretty exciting in and of itself. But it took quite some time to do it. It took several years to put that whole thing together. At some point, I thought, I'm going to take this blog down. And I took all the stories all the stories that I had on the blog, and just simply transferred them to a document that a Word document that I was starting to build into a book. I changed the blog to say, because I did have a lot of people visiting the blog, I changed the blog and saying, basically, I've taken the blog down. There are I left some photographs and things like that there, and said, okay, I'm working on a book at this point, so, bear with me, and hopefully when it's done, you'll buy the book. And that sat like that for at least a couple of years. So I still continued to get some feedback through people who would sort of ask now and again, "How's the book coming?" And eventually it came together.